Okay, so same day, same moment that I recorded the last video that is uploaded. I recorded that just a few minutes ago. And I really want to keep the energy of this message that I have to share, which is improving out of destructive behavior, improving your own self-worth, improving your quality of life, your quality of environment, the quality of people. Small implementable changes will do this. I promise you they will. Small implementable changes. So again, this is Elite Outcome Academy. I want you to become your elite self. I don't want you to become elite as somebody from the exercise or bodybuilding world, though you should work on strengthening your body and being healthier. I don't want you to become elite as the business gurus and all of those people that are out there teaching self-development. I don't want you to be a Spartan unless you want to be. I don't want you to be an aggressor going from a quiet nobody to somebody that is a massive pusher, CEO type person. That's not what I mean. You cannot become somebody that you're not. But what you can do is become a better version of you, step by step, day by day, week by week, month by month, and year by year. Year by year. It takes time. Don't beat yourself up. Number one rule, don't beat yourself up. I know this so incredibly well. So in this video, I want to break down some of my story and how I have come to the conclusion of some of the ideas, some of my self-destruction, some of my kind of petty behavior, my self-worth issues, how I became and am becoming who I am in starting Elite Outcome Academy. I want to kind of get into the story here, my story. And it starts from a very young age. I have thousands of stories, and they will be told over so many episodes. Right now will be kind of a generality, so that we can get to know each other a little bit more. As I tell my story, tell your story in the comments, please. I really want to build a community here that has each other's backs and is uplifting and grateful and all of the things for each other. So, at a very young age, I had a lot of chaos in my life. I grew up pretty poor, and to be honest, I still kind of am in the sense of money. I am so incredibly rich with resources, living situations, friends, mental mindset. I'm so incredibly rich in so many areas. I had no riches whatsoever as a child. By the time I was 5 years old, my family had broken apart. I had two younger siblings. I am the oldest. I became highly responsible for my siblings at a very young age. Had one parent working all the time and another that went off on a journey to find themselves. And this was very, very difficult. I was raised by whoever could be around that was old enough to make sure we were fed, and was abandoned, betrayed, abused, neglected, and with the responsibility as an adult at a very young age. So my story starts off very, very chaotic. in another episode, I will break down those side effects of life at that time, the betrayals and abandonments and neglects and whatever. By the time I was 15, so from 5 to 15, somewhere around the age of 12, things kind of stabilized. My dad had gotten remarried to a woman that I did not like at all, and my dad's a much older man. I'm 35 now, my dad is 82. And my mom was getting her life a little bit more stable. She was kind of coming out of her chaos, and which I am very grateful for. Today we have a good relationship. She's doing well. Everybody's doing well. From 12 to 15, I became highly rebellious. As a child, I was very kind of docile and kept to myself. I was not somebody to create conflict or get in the way. And I learned this very early on because of the chaos in my life, that if I didn't partake in the chaos or be part of the problem for the chaos, then I would be okay. That became my safe zone. Simultaneously out of that, I learned to be somebody that bottles everything up. This shows up later in my life. And so from about 12 to 15, I became much more rebellious. Normal age for especially boys to start becoming more rebellious, more independent. But by 15, my freshman year of high school, I left home. I bounced in and out of home from time to time, but basically from the time I was 15 on, I was in the streets. I lived with whoever I could live with. I lived with a lot of people that had just graduated high school and ended up living in the drug world for a long time. I never became a drug user. I became an abuser of alcohol. By the time I was 17, I was a full-blown alcoholic. However, from the time of 15 to my early 20s, I experienced what could really only equate to living hell. I mean, outside of really too much gunfire and bombs blowing up, I really kind of lived in a war zone. And if you come from the background of the drug world at all, trap houses, meth and heroin addicts, any of that kind of stuff, you understand what I mean. It's really a war zone. So much conflict, so much confusion, so much chaos, so much violence, so much disgustingness. And then I had a turn in my early 20s where I walked away from all of that. I met a girl and we eventually got married. And had a couple of good years, but my brain was so broken still that I did not know how to control my own chaos. I had a lot of ambition, a lot of drive, coming from the drug world. The entrepreneurial spirit that exists in there really did and still does have a hold of me. So I went through a lot of businesses, I went through a lot of real estate stuff, I've done all kinds of things, but I fell apart. I completely fell apart at about age 25. And from 25 till just 2 years ago, so about the age of 33, I had complete and utter self-destructive behavior, and I just kind of lost the will to be anything different or better. Going back to the age of 12, simultaneously, as I became rebellious, I spent some time with my uncle, who was a psychotherapist. This was unintentional. My dad had something he needed to take care of during one summer. He shipped me over there for 2 weeks over to Seattle to be with him. And he was also a hypnosis specialist to a degree, not like what you see at the state fair kind of thing, but what he did, and I didn't realize this until my early 20s, is that he trained me to people watch and to understand behavior and to become aware of why and how people do things. And now today, I have very in-depth philosophies and strategies and structures that allow me to understand human behavior, including my own, to a very detailed degree. I can relate with somebody or level with somebody within microseconds of meeting them, because I can see it in their face, I can see it in their body language, I can hear it in the way they talk, I know their background, I know their story, I know how they live, where they lived, all these kids, not physically, but the environment where they lived, within microseconds. And I've been able to develop this to really help a lot of people understand how to be better, even if it's just in casual conversation. So, with the life of chaos mixed with the life of psychology, I have developed a way for myself to become better first. I am the first student of Elite Outcome Academy. And for especially the last decade, I've put a ton of thought into this, even in my chaos. The last 2 years, I've really been building this thing out so that I can really help people, because I'm very empathetic and very compassionate towards people, especially people that are hurting. Me being one of them. My pain is not completely resolved, and I'm not sure that it ever will be, and I have started to become okay with that. So, pulling from this general idea in this story of abandonment, betrayal, abuse, violence, disgusting, grimy living, alcoholism, I have pulled some interesting ways to think about why my self-destructive behavior stems from all of these things. Instead of blaming those things for why I behave the way I do, I started to dissect them to learn where my behaviors came from, why I developed them, why I created such a destructive self-belief system, why my self-worth became so low, which, by the way, is something that I'm actively still working on, is my self-worth. But even just 2 years ago, this very room that I'm recording this in was mold and mildew ridden, and I was sleeping in it for a long time. Actually, it's probably previous from 2 years ago, but pretty close. And I started with just making my bed. I didn't care about anything else. I just started making my bed. You hear this from Jordan Peterson. It's definitely one of his strategies. It's one that I developed on my own before listening to him. And I started making my bed, and then it trickled out to the area around my bed, and then it trickled over to my dresser, and I straightened the top of that out, and then it trickled into having a straightened out room, which then trickled into me ripping all of the drywall and all of the carpet out and all of the things and completely rehabbing this room. I'm shooting this video in my room because it is something. It's a room in the house of my dad's. They're elderly, and I stay here to help take care of them, as well as going off and taking care of my own family daily. Um, Still a lot of chaos. Still a lot of chaos going on. But I'm filming these videos intentionally in this room because it is a reminder to me. I can look around and see that I am capable of making progress. And in doing so, I've also become comfortable with knowing that it takes time. That if I hadn't started taking small little actions often, I would still be in the same place. And so what I really want to kind of drill in right now is that you have the same capability. The audience for this channel is for those that are distraught, they're down, you're feeling lonely, isolated, even if you are around people. Your self-worth is low, your self-belief is low. I'm here to help you change that. So my story is very intense, and those stories will come out in titled videos, specific and structured to the idea that I want to implement. So one of those being as a idea of what it is that we're going to do here with Elite Outcome Academy. Okay, let's dive into it here. My self-destructive behavior shows up in a sense of success. And I don't mean becoming successful. I mean, as I start to gain success, I destroy it. At least I did in the past. Now that I've kind of figured out the puzzle pieces with Elite Outcome Academy here, this is really the litmus test in me overcoming the issues with the strategy. As a child, I ultimately had a broken relationship with my mother. I was always trying to get her attention. She had a very chaotic mind, very chaotic life. And every time I'd reach out for that attention or to get her to play with me or whatever, it was a majority of the time unsuccessful. Of which I understand now, as I've gone through my own life, I understand what that means and why it happened, because I've been through it in so many cycles. She didn't have the mental capacity, the energy, the physicality, the mindset, all the things. She was in her own way. She was broken as well. She was young, and boy, I couldn't even imagine with her story how she could have even functioned in the capacity that she did. I've been that low. I've been so low that certain decisions were nearly made. We'll get into that later. So where does this tie into my self-destructive behavior? Well, as I've gone into business, as I've gone into real estate, I've been in general management. I've really got myself into many positions to really elevate my own personal success. Financial success, positional success, whatever it be. And I destroyed it every time. I've destroyed it every time. And I really had to sit down and reflect on why. And I noticed the pattern. Every time I'd get to a certain place, my brain and my body, my nervous system, everything in my being would start to go chaotic, and I would stop doing what I needed to, and I would stop showing up, and I would make a lot of false promises and all of these things. And I had to really dive into why. Well, I learned it as a child, because every time I tried to successfully engage with my mom, I learned that I would get a little bit, I would get a little bit, I would get a little bit, and then the things that were really important wouldn't happen. The things that I was really excited about would fall apart. I would get her attention, and then it would be unsuccessful for a period of time. Or I would hear and see these things that maybe we would do, and then those would fall apart. And I learned that as I reached success, that it would always fall apart. So subconsciously, every time I would start to reach the horizon of success, I'd start looking over that edge, I'd start looking over it, I'd roll back down the hill. I'd roll off the mountain, I'd retreat. And I would retreat with anger, with going out too much. I would retreat with putting a million extra things on my plate that weren't the tasks that I needed to accomplish, because that's where I gained my worth, was in the chaos of trying to climb. And so the philosophy for me individually here is that I had to go back. My self-destructive behavior was based in something that got locked into my psyche at a very early age. So then recognizing that, and recognizing, because I've done it so many times, I know exactly when my mind and my body, my nervous system, my whole being starts to recognize the threat of success, because my body recognizes it as a threat. And I can feel that now as I start to accomplish things. But now, because I know the mechanism, I can override it. And this is the cool thing, is now I can override it. I broke it down and I figured it out. And now I can conquer it when it comes up. I go, okay, this is actually a false feeling for something that no longer exists, and something that can no longer control me because I've identified it. It took a lot of work to get there. I'm going to break that down further in another video specifically about self-destruction. But for right now, I'm making content, I'm making videos so that I can get this channel up and going, because I've been putting it off for too long. So, thank you. Thank you for being with me here. Elite Outcome Academy is for you. I'm kind of the driver behind it, but it's for you. It's for you to learn and to take ideas and to implement them. We're going to talk about overcoming anxiety, overcoming depression, overcoming ideas about taking yourself out. Careful about the words that I use in that subject, because I don't want to get banned or blocked or whatever happens in the algorithms of social medias. But this is for you. I want you to comment and share your stories. There's going to be episodes specifically about every subject, abuse, abandonment, betrayal, what those mean, how to identify them, how to pull the good from every situation that you've been through so that you can use them as tools. So again, thank you. Like, subscribe, share, comment, think, write. Most importantly, do. Do something right now. Right this moment. Do something. Straighten something up. Intentionally think to yourself, I'm going to do this thing and I want to know how I feel after I do it. It's an experiment. Everything's an experiment. So don't put any weight into it. Just experiment with it. Bigger decisions we'll work through. The anxiety, the fear, the motivation, the whatevers. Little ideas right now that have no meaning to anybody else but you. I promise, as you do little small tasks intentionally in an experiment to see how you feel after you're done, this will begin to rewire your brain and rewire your nervous system and bring you to a place that is just a little bit better each day. So appreciate your time. I really do appreciate your time. And again, I'm going to keep saying it just to make myself feel better. These videos will get better. The content will get better. The strategies will get better. My delivery will get better. And I'll close on saying that I'm saying those things so that I can overcome my own self-doubt, my own self-worth. Because if I can identify them, I can utilize them. There's good out of every bad. There's positive out of every negative. There's two sides to every coin. And my whole goal is to help you pull out the good from your destructive or chaotic or whatever behavior. Pull the good out of every bad thing that has ever happened. So that's it. I'm going to awkwardly close up this video because I have not yet figured out how to transition to the end of the video yet, which is okay. I'm learning. I'm doing it. So, Elite Outcome Academy everywhere. And I hope you have a great day. Take care.